All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Parks Rec Open Spaces and Trails Advisory Board meeting, June 13th, 2023, 6 o'clock at the Leaper Center. We will start with a roll call of board members.
Laurelyn Bockelman. Teresa Wakefield.
John Evans.
Natalie.
Natalie Triplett.
Thank you.
And those missing, Robert Sussman and Jordan Jones. Okay.
It should be the 14th, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's the 13th on there. Sorry about that, everybody. You missed the, excuse me, you missed the meeting last night, adjourned.
Do we have
Apologies.
public comment
Yes.
on non-agenda items tonight?
I guess I'll go.
Yes, sir.
Dennis Hipsig, current commander of the Wellington American Legion, and like I was telling you guys earlier, I caught wind of the Veterans Memorial Park you guys are putting together. And I spoke a little bit with Robbie last month at our Legion meeting, and I just wanted to reach out to the whole board and say that if there's anything we can do to facilitate that in any way, a fundraiser, blood, sweat, and tears, whatever you guys need, just give us a call. He's got my contact information. Pretty easy guy to find, so if there's anything we can do to help with that, let us know.
That is fantastic
Yeah,
information.
That's all I need.
And do we have,
Let's
you have
get
his contact?
contact information.
Rob does.
Okay.
If you guys want it.
Yeah, we would love your contact information.
Thank you.
That is something that we are actively discussing. So yes.
Super excited about that project.
Hey, you guys, the screen's not clear. All I can see is individual people. It's all fuzzy.
85.
See if I can clarify that.
Do we have any other, anybody else for public comment tonight? That was it, right?
Yes, I don't have anybody else in the queue on Zoom.
Okay. Okay, so moving on to consideration of minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review? Any changes, edits? Okay. If someone wants to make a motion to approve minutes for May 10th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for May 10th, 2023.
Second.
Oh, second. Okay, I'll second that. Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Natalie? Are you good with the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you. So,
Okay, moving on. Tonight we have Speaker Cody Bird, Planning Director from the town of Wellington, as well as his guests. Like to introduce or
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Cooksey. My name is Cody Bird. I'm the town's planning director. We asked for a space on the agenda for tonight's meeting because we've got a development proposal. And we'd like to present to the PROST to weigh in and provide advice to the Board of Trustees for their consideration of the subdivision plat. The property that's proposed for, it's actually proposed for redevelopment. It's a property known as Saddleback subdivision. It's on the east side of the highway, adjacent to County Road 60, GW Bush Avenue. It's north of there, and it's east of Park Meadows and the Meadows subdivisions. The proposal for this particular subdivision was originally approved in 2018. And Mark, if we can put this here and get them ready. While they're doing that, the gentlemen moving the posters around are Darren Roberson of Sage Homes, the developer, and Tom Dugan, Pinecrest Design, and Mark Gepro with Sage Homes. And I can help with those in a moment here too. So the subdivision for Saddleback was originally approved in 2018, and it's on the posters. It's called Geyer subdivision. That was the original name, and it changed as part of the planning process. But you can see what was originally approved is substantially similar to the new proposal The new proposal is proposing a little bit different lot configuration for the size of the lots, a little bit narrower lots, a few more lots. But the street configuration remains the same. The open space areas is really largely the same. So as the town works through development proposals like this, they go through the planning commission for recommendation. They also go to the board of trustees for final decisions. But any subdivision that involves park and open space considerations, we also bring to the PROST to have you provide input on that, and we take those recommendations back to the planning commission and board of trustees. So that's a little bit of background on the process. Timeline wise, this was just been presented to the planning commission on Monday of this week. The board of trustees got just a very high level overview for some contextual background information at their meeting last night. So you're the very next group that gets to take a look at this. Just for contextual purposes too, and then I'll give a real high level, then I'll invite Tom or Darren or Mark to come up and share a little bit about their proposal here. But the original development proposal contemplated having the pocket park requirements for the subdivision satisfied, and I'm pointing to the poster on highest on the wall here. It had the pocket park kind of behind the backyards of the houses to take advantage of the larger open space that was being preserved to meet the open space requirements, to kind of keep it grounded in nature, and have those other amenities available to it with a sidewalk connection to the public roadway. As town staff was working with the developer on this particular proposal, to rethink the lots in this subdivision, I asked them to relook at the location of the pocket park to move it to a more centrally located location within the development with more visibility and public accessibility, so it wasn't isolated and hidden behind people's backyards and back fences. That recommendation was made by staff largely based on our comprehensive plan that's been recently updated, and our land use code that's been recently updated that had more specific guidance on the amount of public access and street connectivity for parks and open spaces, and the desire to not have that isolated behind backyards where it wasn't visible, where maybe kids playing becomes a safety issue, keeping it front and center for parents to keep an eye on kids. So those were some of the really high level concepts. So you can see on the new proposal, and Mr. Cooksey has it up on the screen as well. The new proposal includes relocating the pocket park to be bounded up by multiple roadways. And the final design is not yet determined for tree placement, tree species, and what amenities might go in there, but the proposal, this would be a private HOA owned and maintained pocket park serving the residents of this subdivision. And then I'll also throw out there real quickly too, all the roads are required to have sidewalks adjacent to them. The sidewalks along the public roadways connect to the proposed pocket park, and through the open space area to the east of those backyards. It still includes a trail proposal. And then the trail connects to a larger trail. It's kind of hard to see, but on the very west side of the site, all the way from Ronald Reagan Avenue all the way down to GW Bush, is proposed a concrete trail that will provide a loop and connect from GW Bush and Ronald Reagan through the subdivision and connect on public sidewalks and trails back to other existing parks like Wellville Park and the Meadows Park. Did I get the name right? The Meadows? Okay. So that was all originally intended very similar, but those amenities are being preserved with a change to the location of the pocket park for those reasons stated, and keeping the trail, the new trails included in the trail and sidewalk connectivity to tie back into the town's infrastructure and to our other parks. So that's the planner's perspective, just kind of familiarize you with what's being proposed. We would like input from the PROST board. Darren or Tom, do you want to include any additional information for the parks and trails?
Cody's covered almost everything, but one of the things that we, working with the town staff and the water requirements, we reduced the size of the lots on the perimeter. Some of them were up to 19,000 square feet, and we reduced the size, and we're going to And that helped move the park over. We made the interior lots narrower, so we actually had more lots on the site. But we're gonna require the developers to landscape the front and side yards, or the builders, I'm sorry, of each house, and use the town's new standards for landscaping and irrigation. So they're very low water requirements. And then all the open space, we've increased the open space by about 4 to 4.5 acres. And that'll all be in native grasses and native plants. Again, we'll have temporary irrigation on it to get everything established, and then it'll be very low water use after.
There's not a non-pot system on this site, that's why
Yeah.
we're replatted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need a 19,000 square foot lot with not potable water. And I think before we had told you guys, because I think Hartford was in here too at one time, but our plan still is to provide some type of structures similar to what we probably did in Sage Meadows. For it, so it's already, it's not coming out of anybody's budget, it'll be coming out of the developer and for the community,
Okay.
like we stated before.
Yeah, so there'll be a play structure in there, and trees, and maybe some picnic tables and benches.
And it's the understanding of myself that that is HOA maintained.
Yes.
Because it falls in line with the pocket park.
I love it, the trail part. I feel it's so
Yeah.
nice.
Now,
This
we
design is really great.
didn't do a trail along the east side because the original owners out there, and I think the current owners have a lot of horses, so they didn't want to have people and the horses being distracted so long. That's why the trail doesn't go along the east side of the property. That was one of the requests of the previous owners. Good luck with that.
It's a nice addition though, to have that shape. Looks nice.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great site.
Yeah, it should.
Excellent.
Any comments or yes, ideas?
So I guess this is the time that I'd say whatever your thoughts are to kind of amenities that potentially we could suggest and or keep with town standards, just so that we kind of upheld what we're doing as a board and the town to move forward. They're here to kind of just listen to us, I believe.
I know we had talked about having a town standard, and I don't know where this changes, Cody, you know, from an HOA maintained park and a town park. We had talked about having poured in place surfacing throughout the town for the town parks for multiple reasons. Is that something that we can bring up, or is it already designed? I don't know.
We didn't do it at Sage Meadows, but I think we're making them mulch it periodically, you know,
Yeah,
since they're maintaining it. But we can sure check on a port in place. It's just, yeah, I mean, there's a standard that
Yeah.
both meet, so for fall protection.
absolutely. It's just replaceable, right? It's more maintenance.
Yep, the HOA.
For the HOA, for the town, it was a move that we were making for town parks, was to move to the port place, and that's why I brought it up.
Absolutely something for them to think about. Yep.
Yeah.
It is our standard moving forward, and hopefully in every design park we'll have that.
But I don't know how it applies here.
I think it's a good suggestion to consider. I frankly, I haven't had conversations with the developer about what the amenities, and I think what Tom expressed was that there would be some shade structures and some play equipment, but I haven't even seen or asked what those look like. I kind of envision doing something on a place that's similar that's like in Sage Meadows, but then also having some park benches and stuff.
This is just a preliminary right now, so we haven't gotten into the final design on the parks.
I think anytime we get shade structures up at parks is a win,
Yeah.
you know.
So it's requested.
Absolutely.
Frequently.
Very,
It does take time for trees to establish.
Yeah.
especially in our town.
Replace them a few times before they take and get maturity.
Now, along the trails, is there a plan to have lighting for safety in the evenings, as well as places to stop such as benches and amenities like trash and dog waste stations?
In Sage Meadows, we did dog waste stations. I think any HOA would plan on doing that. I mean, I guess I just assumed we do those.
Okay.
Which there's a trash container too, because it's.
Yep.
And they're pretty typical. I got 4 sitting in my blue barn right now for the next phase. But the lighting, you know, you have street lighting. I don't think it's possible. I mean. So.
Just a thought, because we do have, I mean, parks that were built in the past that don't have them. It's a hot topic on my plate right now, is to improve lighting in parks that we maintain. So just a thought that, you know, the community might say, since it is a connecting trail within our, to our other facilities, that they might be brought up in the future. So
Is there any
appreciate
comment
now.
about the one through Sage Meadows? I
I can't say that I've heard anything.
Yeah.
I have heard comments of, we, the town, I get frequent comments about the underpass, underneath the highway, that it has lighting in it, but it is still awfully dark. So in some of the shoulder seasons where the days are a little shorter, we get a lot of concern that there's not adequate lighting there. So that's on the town's radar. That could easily be extended to, if we have a public trail, maybe that is something that gets phased in as the solar bollards to provide some,
Yep.
and then I think some of them, like we've used here in Centennial Park, are motion detected, so they're not on all the time. It's when someone gets within 15 or 20 feet of them, they trigger and light up. So we know that there are some options out there. I can say that the town has not developed or enforced any uniform standard across the town for that. So that's something that we don't have a current standard of regulation of requirement. I think it's something that is worthy of consideration, but I have not had those conversations for this particular development.
Yeah, I know we hadn't planned on it originally on the first. Well, we'll have to see how the street lighting goes, and then from there, you know, there might be a couple of loops where, you know, once you get it established. You know, the HOA can come in and say, hey, we want to add them here or there.
Yeah, and solar is a great option, which I'm looking into, like I said, in another park where we just can't pull electricity.
Yeah.
I would only add this too for the lighting thing in favor of it, because we have a high school up here now, so we've got a lot of kids, and a park is a breeding area for them. Knowing that because we live right behind like Wellington, right behind Wellington Community Park. And we have kids back there from, I mean, all hours of the night, and they're just messing around. So if there's any type of lighting, I think it's a good idea, especially if you're putting a park in like a residential area, just for safety reasons.
We'll talk to REA about if they can put a power source on the backside of those lots. Where even if you just had 1 or 2 lights.
Yeah.
Sure, to move through the.
I don't think you're gonna want the lights on the trail on the west side, between houses that back up to each other.
Right.
I can only see maybe 1 or 2 lights on that kind of south of Outlaw A. You know, 2 or 3 right there.
This in here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I would think you get complaints of people on the meadow side having lights.
Both sides.
Yeah, both
Yeah,
sides.
it could be
Right.
both sides.
Right.
Yeah, and that, yeah, I certainly overhead lighting would be a big concern for residents.
Sure.
Some of the lower pedestrian level bollards might be able to be directed downwards where it's more targeted lighting that wouldn't be as impactful.
No, when they plow it, they can hit them and knock them off.
Very possibly, yeah.
HOA maintain that.
With, again, I'm not totally sure, but with it being the HOA, I assume there's gonna be porta potties there, or will there be nothing there?
You know, we don't have porta potties at Sage Meadows, but I guess they have the pool that's open in the summertime. I haven't really, but you know, they also live there.
Right,
I think they'd rather run home than everybody looking at a porta potty.
I understood. If you guys were to do one, we are trying to make sure that we have ADA porta potty. So in that direction, we'd ask if there would be an ADA one.
Anything else?
You guys have information on those solar lights or get it? I mean, if you can pass it along. You know.
Absolutely. Yep, I can work with Cody on moving some information to you.
When you say ballard, are those the ones that are just like this high? Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
Typically they're black and they kind of have like 3 or 4 slats where the light
okay.
just very
Is there
low lit.
Centennial, that's,
Mhm.
okay,
Yes,
that's what we're talking
exactly.
about. Okay, great.
We have them at the pool at Sage Winds.
Excellent.
And just to throw out there too, we do have talks about as we move forward in our potential parks or anything on the east side, adding more amenities that have been asked for. Just to throw some out there would be, people are asking for a basketball court specifically on that side of town and a dog park. I know that wouldn't be a public dog park because it is HOA maintained, but these are just things that we're hearing so that, if people are asking for amenities to be added or it comes up with the development there, those are two kind of the things that aren't provided that people have wanted on the east side of the highway.
And basketball courts do great as doubling for pickleball courts.
That they do.
Yeah.
You would keep some people happy. I know that. You would win a lot of favor if you said,
People who move there just.
yes, you would sell every lot directly next to it, right?
Pickleball on the east side, where we have the original.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it looks great. I mean, the trails are amazing. The idea of connectivity is fantastic.
I think the park location is a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that you can just pull up with a vehicle and not have to walk in between two houses.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
lot better. And plus knowing that it's there.
Yeah.
The old location, I mean, it's confined.
Yeah.
If you didn't know it was there, you'd never see that part.
Right.
Oh, it's great.
Hopefully we'll be able to conserve water and start moving dirt.
That's one of the goals,
I
right? Conserve the gold.
think you guys want permits coming up. Permits generate revenue that pays the bills.
Mhm.
Should I even throw out, have you even mentioned anything about the other 13?
I haven't, and a lot of that information is,
Wait,
yeah,
Wait till we submit.
hopefully we got some more stuff coming down the road. for
Yeah.
everybody.
I'll just, I don't want to get into
No.
details because not all of it's public information, but the town is working with Sage development companies to consider other future park options. And I've tried to share some of the ideas that I've heard from this board about some of the needs and desires for other areas of town, working with Billy on where some of the town amenities or what the needs are, your grasp study from your master plan and where the gaps are. Possibilities for skate park relocation. I know Robert has done a great job with the skate park that's existing, but also would be excited to design and build a brand new skate park elsewhere in town. Those are all concepts that I've floated to Sage Development to consider in other development proposals.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yes,
Good.
great.
No, if I could recap real quick to make sure I've captured what the PROST is advising for this this development proposal. I noted that largely head nods in support. I guess I didn't really hear from Natalie, so I kind of forgot since she's on Zoom if there was anything that Natalie wanted to add. Maybe we do that first.
Yes, Natalie, have you listened in?
Yeah. So Cody, I love that there's going to be a new housing development over here on the east side. We need some more retail businesses too. If you guys are going to accept more housing, we need more retail businesses. I'm just saying. I mean, the retail houses is great and everything. It'll help us pay the water, for the water loan for the water expansion, but we need more businesses to go with the infrastructure of more houses. I'm just saying there's got to be a ratio there. But it's great that you guys, with each housing development that's coming in, to add another park. And I like the idea of the trails and the dog park, so that everybody doesn't have to go all the way to the community park just to go to a dog park. So, and I like with the community park how it has a structure for the older kids and the younger kids, and I feel like maybe we can throw that in there too, and to continue the ADA additions that the Parks Department is doing.
So incorporating multiple age play structures within the play facility. Okay, thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, thanks, Natalie, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I appreciate you saying it. So just to quickly recap, what I heard was the support for the proposed park and trail alignment and spacing for this particular subdivision proposal. And I heard there were recommendations for shade structures at the pocket park, consider solar lighting along trails, dog way stations, I said throughout appropriate locations along the trail. If bathrooms are considered, make sure that we have considerations for ADA, and consider age appropriate play structures within the play area. Is there anything that I missed in those recommendations?
We'll look into the fourth place,
Oh,
The
yeah.
surfacing is great.
but
And one thing I would say too, maybe just look into a bench or two along the trails if there are adequate locations, because multiple people that like to stop and wait in different age gaps that enjoy using those.
Perfect. Anything else? Great.
That's great.
Then I hear that as a, not to put words in your mouth, but a recommendation to approve the park areas as presented with those recommendations. And that's how I would phrase that when we take it back to the planning commission and board of trustees, that it was supported by the PROST with those recommendations.
I'm hearing all good news.
Correct.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect.
Thank
Well,
Looks
thank
great.
you very, very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
for the help too.
3 nights in a row for all you guys, huh?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mark's just warming up. He's the only one here in July.
Oh,
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and proposing this.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. What these chairs stack?
We'll take care of them. Yep, we put them all back specifically in for the next meeting. So yep,
Okay.
you're good.
Thank you, though.
you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
is that?
If it's all the same to you guys, I'm gonna take off also.
I was just gonna ask.
Three
you.
meetings and
I'm not-
5 meetings this week.
So, but I was looking at your agenda and I see some other topics on there that I would be interested in hearing about, so I would love to catch up with you afterwards and make sure that if planning can support the goals of PROST, that we do that, so we'll touch base and carry on.
Cody, this was a lot better.
I think it was, sometimes it's good to have an opportunity to have a do-over.
Yeah.
It's better.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah, I mean, you're recommending
It's-
what you want the town to be,
it's
so
not
that's
better.
what your job is.
And thank you. That was certainly something that we wanted to get right when we had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she said that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Cody, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Another thing that Natalie said, for more houses in Wellington and needing for retail. We think about it, every new rooftop in Wellington is a source of sales tax for online sales. So every time there is another household here and they're ordering online, that goes back to Wellington. So a lot of times they're like, no more houses, only this. Well, we need impact fees, right? And they are bringing in sales tax just by being a home here. So some feedback. I agree with Natalie though, we need more businesses, but just as a little insight to that too.
They gotta wanna come here though, is the problem.
They have to be net new people, not just moving across Wellington.
I mean, it's all nice to say we need businesses, but if we're not presenting an opportunity for business to come and location, I mean, the east side is really not set up well for businesses.
No,
It's unfortunately.
It's got its place in Baumgars and that's kind of settled.
I'm there all the time.
They're all there all
Yeah,
the
but
time.
they're like-
All their impact fees go right back to them. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that was good. Moving on.
Something I heard in this conversation is maybe you guys are interested in like moving forward on standards for pocket parks or Giving the
I'm not
recommendation
sure I
for.
understand what that is.
A pocket park?
Yeah.
So it's actually up here and we can go through it real quick. So these are the standards for the planning and zoning commission. And when they bring someone in, this is very park specific to every development that comes in for new homes. So when they're going to build homes, this is what they have to do. So that's why they have a certain amount of land dedicated for open space that has to be maintained, open space, park, trails, and as Trustee Daly was saying, we could now develop standards because there aren't some, if we would like to move forward with that along with the other things we're doing.
Okay.
But a pocket park falls along the lines of this right here, and there are multiple different categories of parks. So you have the pocket park, the neighborhood park, a community park, and a regional park as named by the town. And the difference, really like hardline difference, is that pocket parks are owned and maintained by the HOA.
Gotcha.
So although they are part of the town, the community amenities, they are for that specific community because of the size of everything.
Gotcha.
They're really just for the local community. And without going too much into it, the fact that Park Meadows and Wellville are pretty close and the development isn't that large of a size of development, adding one more neighborhood park doesn't necessarily make sense for either the development or the town to take over. Now, when we take over, if we were to try to say, hey, pocket parks, they're fairly hard to maintain because they're so small, and the smaller the amenity, the more time you put in per square foot because you have to move equipment and time to get to a smaller area and then move it off site. So when it's deemed that the site is okay for a pocket park for the size of the community and the study that's done for the surrounding community, the HOA will maintain that. Now, if it's a bigger community and maybe in the future as we expand, we can then go back for more neighborhood parks. It's just recommended from the planning commission via these standards that community has a pocket park in it and not a town park. Now, that's something that honestly, we could have said, hold on a minute. Do we want to take this over? I would say right now, probably not. And the size of that, it just doesn't make sense from a feasibility standpoint.
This particular issue is a review. So
Mhm.
John and I were here when they came in and presented the first time. And it was deemed that they wanted to have it to be a
city.
a town, or not a town park, but a HOA
Yep.
park.
An HOA park. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for going into that.
Yep,
Billy. I appreciate that.
and this is both in the packet and I sent it out on the email, so you can have this if you want to print it and put it in your binder, because this is review that we'll do as the town grows and you're still on the board, and
Okay,
we'll do multiples of these from the beginning, such as these two did for the Saddleback community.
gotcha. Okay.
And land use code. So, for example, we don't have there are certain requirements for landscaping. But they are above and beyond that. They're using the recommended guide that was just created. It's not even required. So they're adopting just automatically the guide that the town has created.
Yeah.
So I mean, if there was a recommendation for parks, for example, it would be very easy for the developer to be like, yes, please, I'll take that, and here's a landscaping, I'll take that, just to make it easier and straightforward. So potentially, even if it isn't part of land use code and requirements, if it's recommendations that are formal, but there's good potential there for that to be impactful, I think, for development plans.
Having that port in place surfacing is super important. I know there can tend to be pushback as far as usability, and I know it's more money, but really when it comes down to usability for all, that the port in place surfacing is a lot better.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to it's just easier for everybody for use for
Yeah.
ADA.
To make that recommendation, this is why, this is standard in Wellington, this is suggested, like that kind of formal.
Okay, let me write that down. It's something that we can absolutely work on as far as recommending, because what we do is we recommend to Cody, he takes it to the planning commission, and then they go over that, and then they take it to the board so we're just recommending hopefully what falls in line with what we want to do. So if we can make some recommendation standards, that'd be pretty cool.
Have it packaged. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Developer. He's the one who donated to this Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
Happening in the-
Become sage.
Yeah.
Sage, right? They're good people.
Yeah, when we, because we took over Sunset and Harvest, those were pocket park. Or were they just not even considered?
They were originally, yes, and then they were, I guess that was before me, so I don't
But then
know
we had
exactly how that
sand
happened.
because sand wasn't our standard.
Yes.
So I mean, even working forward, if they were to do mulch because it is an HOA park and they're gonna be doing the maintenance and it's not gonna cost the town any money. When it moves forward, if there's ever a time where the town considers taking it over, I think that's when we start applying our standards that if they wanted, the HOA wants to get out from underneath it, they don't want to do the maintenance anymore. You gotta put pour in place in now, you know?
And that portion of it could, well, yes, but also we would not accept it unless it met our standards as far as the town park. We can make recommendations and then they wouldn't be able to because we do have our standards of our parks.
Yeah.
So when we took Harvest Park, it does have the port in place and that it's kind of a pocket park, but the large size of it is almost borderline neighborhood park there with the amenities that it has and everything. So but I love that idea.
Yeah.
That kind of gives them that initial push to do things the way that we
From the beginning.
really,
Yeah.
yep. It's great.
Good idea.
Okay. We good on that?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Let's keep moving along. So just a board of trustee update, that's more just, when we do our update to the board of trustees. Sounds like with the schedule that we have right now already, sometime in August is probably going to be the best idea just because of the few that are going, well, they had the missed one and then the 4th of July comes. So is August okay with everybody? And then I can get it on the schedule.
The further one in August is better.
We can do it as far away as we wanted. Originally, it was on our schedule to do it like the end of June, and I know just everything, it doesn't quite work that way. But if I'm thinking August, September, and then February, March, that's that kind of 6-month turnaround for what we're looking to do in the beginning of the year and then what we have done so far through. So
I would caution you not to go too late though.
Yeah.
Because this is gonna be a real rally for budget.
Yep.
And, you know, Billy's gonna be working on budget in August already.
What are the dates for the August meetings? I still want to be while it's out of town, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
needs to be then.
let me,
Yeah. And it would be great to have it fresh in the mind and see passionate people prior to seeing these projects on a budget. I think from the perspective of trustees,
Sure.
that would be.
Is it the 1st and 3rd or
It-
I can't remember how this goes.
it is, I have it right here. So we would be looking at
Second and fourth are
the August 8th, August 15th. No, the August 15th is a work session, so August 8th or August 22nd.
Is the 22nd too late? Is that what you're saying?
I mean. So the trustees will see the budget in about October.
Okay.
Departments will be doing all kinds of stuff way earlier than that. But. We'll see the final, we'll probably have a couple workshops in September.
Okay.
So I would say the last in August, that would be good. I wouldn't go later than that.
Looking at the schedule now, there is a little bit more on that than the 8th, but it doesn't look like it's anything that we couldn't do. I did talk, and that is the one that I put the hold on, so.
Okay. If it had to be later, that's fine. We won't do any final approvals until October.
Okay.
But I think if we could workshop it, or it's in their mind when we're workshopping the portions, that'd be really helpful.
Okay.
So good, we'll earmark the 22nd.
That gives us 2 more meetings to meet, make sure we're all on the same page of what we're presenting.
Mhm. And then maybe we'll have to do one of those special meetings real quick that we
Yeah.
did last time to
Yeah.
get it together.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
that sounds good. So discussion on the Parks and Trails amenity map. We've got well, do you want to speak on behalf of Dom real quick and how he's
Yeah.
working on it?
Yeah, so Dom, starting with just like compiling a list, obviously, because that list that we have doesn't include the 2
Dominic
parks.
is.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna give
Dominic is
him an
our
update.
sorry, my apologies. Dominic is our intern. He was with us already, started as a batting cage attendant, then went to a program or a sports supervisor seasonal, and now he's our communications and marketing intern. So, super cool, been with us for a while, seen every single piece, so that's awesome too. One of the, actually the only one who's done that. And then, yeah, so he's starting with just compiling a list, making sure everything is like accurate and up to date. Gonna get some good like photos of stuff too, so that at the same time we do this, we update our sitemap for all of those, because I don't know if y'all have looked at that recently, but there's one where it's a photo and like it's intentionally blurred and it's kind of laughable looking at it, honestly. So like we're getting all of that updated at the same time while we go through website compliance as well. But it's just a good time, like as he drives around, to look and make sure all the features that are there are encompassed on the map. Adding the new parks, making sure it makes sense, like in the way that it's laid out. So working on that, and then design is something that we'll have to just get together with Mahela on, just because an Adobe license is expensive. And so we as a like team don't have the ability to afford one, so we'll just need to work with Mahela to use better graphic design software to put together. But
Cool.
it's in progress and started. So it's great news.
That's really good
Yep.
news.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting. That's
Yes,
pretty-
it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
Yeah,
the things that are
nice.
missing from it will be on it. And
Yep.
so when we have that list compiled, it'll probably be more like a document to start with. We'll bring it here and put it on the agenda, and we can go through it and make sure everybody likes that. And we, got Dominic and Mahela to write some nice things about every park and the key amenities and the fun things going on. So
Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
I do like some of those pictures though, because I know all the kids like in them,
Yeah.
but they're all like friends of Roxy when they're like 5 years old.
Oh,
Like, I recognize
the
them.
old-
Good update.
So I'm like,
Some of them don't even have one. Like some of them are just a like building symbol.
oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I was just like,
It was
just
a-
when you go, get a good photo.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Of the
time to
park.
update
Yeah.
our,
It
Yeah.
was a fun day.
yeah.
And that's a lot of those.
Yep. Did everybody have a chance to look at the few bike fix stations that I threw the links to?
Yeah.
There are definitely some varying in price ranges, and some of them have the pump on them, which I think is really nice, though that they're fairly expensive, but they all come encompassing.
What was the one with the pump on it? How much was that?
I have.
There- there's- And then there was one we got an official quote for that I didn't quite get the link because we hadn't got the quote back from the company. They didn't have it on an official one online. But that one was fairly close to.
Yeah, it was like $1,750.
$1,800. And that one was, I mean, it was really nice.
They're very nice ones. Yeah, that's the same company that we order other stuff from for like other features. And so we know their stuff is quality.
Very nice
That's
quality.
why I got a quote from them.
Just, I guess the idea is how, think about how many we would like to put out there, and then you talk about where we've get some funding for it and everything. If we were to do some simple ones to start with, or the ones that have all the features without the pump on it, I think that's something that internally we've talked about being able to do, especially if we need to do it while we're doing our concrete stuff for the signs, and Jim's going around and doing that. Those are easy things you could put in the corner and just have him while he's at a park, putting in a little 4x4 slab and then just putting it in. The question is, how in depth do we want to get with it? Because they do, and if we were going to do 4 of the $2,000 one, that's something that doesn't fit right now, just to be honest.
We have, so there is one currently right by one of the schools,
Middle school.
right? Yeah. Okay.
So do you already have locations
Cool.
picked
It
that
got
you're
done.
thinking about putting it at,
Yeah, that
putting
sounds-
them at, or not?
We had talked
Old middle school.
previously, definitely on the trails,
Okay.
and or Centennial for the all-wheel park, basically, because it's not a skate park. They have bikes are going in there and everybody's going in there. So potentially one there, and then maybe one over at Wellville, where our trail kind of starts on the east side, and then maybe one on either side of the street, either in the Knolls or over in Harvest Park, because that's kind of where the natural flow is to downtown. So potentially to start with 3, but we had talked up to 5, or just starting with 2, but that's kind of why I wanted to just throw this out there. What amenities do we want in that? And then it'd be something good to get in if we can, because Jim's pouring the concrete.
Well, as a bicycle rider, I'll say this, not like a high school kid or anything like that, but we ride bikes, so normally typically we carry everything with us if we need it. My only concern with the bike stuff here is like the pump and everything, like if somebody gets a flat tire or whatever, if they don't have a tube, if they're not carrying something, I don't know that that's gonna be very helpful for them to pump it. So part of this, I think is a great idea, but that would be my concern that it wouldn't be very useful to them if they didn't have a tube on their bike or whatever. So you know what I'm saying? So otherwise, I think it's a great idea. I think it could be very helpful to a lot of people. My only thought was just with a flat. If they get a flat, then they're gonna be walking their bike if they don't have something to replace it with.
Okay.
And most,
That's a valid
Valid,
point. That's a
yeah.
very valid point.
so just something to think about before you spend money on them and put them out there, so.
Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I did see a kid pushing his bike around there just the other day with a flat tire, but there's always the gas stations, you know, to put air in tires, but I mean, as far as ones I liked, I really like the first one with the retractable tools better. As far as ones that don't come with the pump, obviously, you know, if we were going all out and getting everything, I mean, just because one person doesn't have a tube doesn't mean that not everybody does.
Exactly.
And maybe it's a slow leak, or maybe their tires are just low and they need air. So I like the idea of having the pump, but $2,000 a piece and 4 of them out there.
A lot of money.
I mean, we may just want to figure out a couple ideal locations for a full set one. And then have other locations not have the pump, or, you know, something like that. So we're kind of have a varying selection. But in like the key areas, maybe the Centennial Park one would have a pump,
Right,
you know,
and east side.
yeah.
On the east side.
And then, you know, the other location would just be tool.
A BMX track too.
Yeah, but I do like, yeah, that one there with the retractable cables, because the ones where they're dangling, I could just, I mean, I'm not saying that the kids in Wellington are bad, but there are some that are gonna go by and snip those tools off. And it's just more, it's there and you can see it,
Yeah,
you know, and when they're retracted like that, it's less.
Enticing.
Tempting.
Yeah.
and it, you know, it is the fact of having it out there. It is gonna be used and probably unfortunately abused, but the good thing is most of these companies and why I've looked at these ones is they're, you know, they all have the replacement kits that come with them, or you could purchase them for, you know.
Reasonable amount. Kind of. Really like, well, not really. We're just gonna keep our fingers crossed. That's just what these things.
Centennial.
I think they're all nice. I think it's just all, it depends on if. I don't know, what the budget allows, I guess, I would think.
Yeah, what are you thinking is available?
This one. No, that's a joke. I haven't done a hard dive into exactly what I could. I just wanted to get options and everything. And if we have an idea, that gives me the kind of the headway to see if we can make it happen. And
I think we're at 4.
for total.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if we're at East Side, Centennial, I mean, I really feel like we gotta have something up by WCP, and then, or of course, we need to go south as well, so.
Like
So-
the Knolls or something.
Yeah. So let's just think about earmarking
bridge.
for,
Or the underpass,
Oh,
like right at the bridge / the underpass. Yeah.
that could kind of serve as both sides.
Yeah.
Kind of. Let's think about 4, and that gives me an idea of where to go with it. If we do one with a pump in the central location and then try to spread them out.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. I like it.
You know, I know it's like not in our budget at the moment, but is there ever a time where we're just gonna take this stuff to the trustees and say, look, it's not in our budget, but we want to present this to you anyways? And here's, you know, these things. I know you guys have a certain amount that you can approve things anyways.
Discretionary,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So when do we start going after some of that and start?
August 22nd.
Maybe we should make a presentation for one of our projects for that day when we're doing our update and.
Yeah.
Bring it to them. I mean, if we
I
can't,
agree.
I would like to go and maybe check some of the places in Fort Collins and see if they wouldn't maybe want to kick in a little bit. Like the bicycle recycling place, it's up on North College there.
Mhm.
And then offer like a plaque or something, some kind of donated by. And then maybe, somebody's there using the repair station, they don't get it all done, they gotta go up to.
Another one, and it's
Like
on the
someone needs
disc golf
another bike
course.
or-
You might even get the local disc golf club, since it's at there, if we put one close to the knolls, because people do ride their bike and play
Yeah.
disc golf at the same time, and those communities are very cross, just a thought too.
Yeah.
Charged to like ride
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah.
I think they would love to know what's going on. There's opportunities for sure.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea to go to Fort Collins. When you think about it, there's so many bicyclists
Yeah.
that come up here. And if they know that there's gonna be stuff up here for them to, access if they need it or whatever, I think that's a great idea. There's another bicycle shop down there too. Recycled cycles that we could head up to
Mhm.
or ask them as well, so.
I see people biking through and stopping at like Soul Squared all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's cool. It's definitely a stop for Collins.
It is, and we have so many great country roads, and
Lot-
we got
And
bicycles.
a lot of people like
all
riding
over.
their bikes to breweries. I mean, it's definitely a Saturday thing. So maybe get into those places. And
Yeah.
This
say-
Saturday, Kiwanis has their bike event too.
Rodeo,
Natalie?
bike rodeo? I haven't seen anything about that.
Yeah.
Natalie, are
talking
you
to
on?
Richard Bacon about it. Natalie,
Um, yeah, I'm on, but I work all day Saturday, so I won't be helping. That's one of the many events that I'm gonna be missing.
But it is this Saturday.
I think was the 17th is this Saturday.
Yep, yeah, that's
Yeah.
my birthday.
Yeah, then then it is. So.
Gonna have anybody
And
there? besides
it's
Kiwanis?
over. If you guys want, all I know is some of the basic information. There is a bicyclist club from, I think, Fort Collins that helps, like, because one of the Kiwanis knows, like, he's in one of the bicycle clubs. If you guys want to stop by that event Saturday, it's right next between Ziggy's and Redley's, right there in the parking lot.
Right.
And talk to the bicyclist club and ask them about, some ideas and stuff, and maybe
Okay.
getting, funding
Action
for
item.
the
Sounds good.
bicyclist pump. Because if you actually get somebody from a bicyclist like group, which they are, then you can ask them, hey, where would be an ideal place to put a pump or something like that, and they would give you a more precise, idea
Okay.
of questions you'll have. I'm just throwing that out there because,
That's-
I kind of agree with John of asking the businesses that, and stuff, but I feel like, since there's going to be a bicyclist group out there, one of you guys should go over there and talk to them.
Yeah, I think John's gonna go.
Yeah. Do you know what time it starts, Natalie?
I think it's in the morning, but you can look on what was the new I think the chamber threw out a newsletter and put that in there because Richard is one of the board members for the chamber.
Okay.
So sorry, I've just been working so much that I haven't been keeping track of the Kiwanis Club stuff.
Okay, this is very helpful information you just gave us. and Good insight. Thank you, Natalie.
But Billy, my thought about where to place them is basically where the trail areas are, because that's where most of the experienced bicyclists or even families that bike, they use the trails for doing their pathways for biking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, very valid
I think
point.
so.
Great, so we'll be there on Saturday.
Yeah.
See what we can get there and then take it back and.
Yeah.
Dust it off.
That's it.
If you
Okay.
don't have a pump, we don't have one for you yet.
Item.
Next item, the Veterans Memorial. So do you want to jump in?
Okay.
Okay, yesterday, some town staff and Laurelyn and her husband and I met just to kind of go over, very briefly, just the idea that has been in place for the memorial, where it was, where it could go, and then just kind of how we take those first steps to really get this thing going, because it's just kind of multiple people with different ideas. And we kind of had an initial breakthrough. I believe we all agreed that we liked the location when we were on site. We really liked that design that was put forth by Nathan from Public Works, one of our engineers. So we had graciously, Laurelyn's husband is going to render a 3D drawing with some additional things we put in there, what it could look like in the future. Fantastic. So we don't have to take that out. It's amazing that Mike's doing that. Just
Yeah.
fantastic.
We have it.
That is huge, because that was kind of a stepping stone. Like, do we start funding the here, there? So he's going to take that on. I'm going to compile a list of all of the different amenities that are going to be on there and make kind of like a potential fee schedule for what it would look like if you were going to donate individual amenities or two utility amenities, whether that be for helping the irrigation, for helping the electricity get pulled for the poles, pouring concrete, all that kind of stuff. Jim in Public Works is taking on going to move the dirt, and then hopefully he'll, with budget, we'll have it all poured concrete wise internally. So we came to the decision that we think it's a very much a community involved project. We want it to be, lack of better terms, kind of grassroots. Kelly Holding brought up the idea, if we did want to do some sort of funding or some sort of grant, that process takes a little bit to get going. And we kind of thought, if that was a possibility in the future, if we can't get funding, we'll go down that avenue. But we hope internally, and with this board, and obviously people are here very interested in it, we can push this through our community and hopefully get the funding. And we think that'll make it a little bit more special to our town rather than looking elsewhere. Hopefully taking those resources for different projects that don't mean as much to Wellington. So that was kind of our goal going forward. So the first step is Mike and myself, and then what we're going to do along with the communications department. We're going to try to get this going before the 4th of July, cross our fingers, but we're going to get a sign made by Dynamic Image where the site is going to be with a QR code on it. And it has a specific web page of the schedule, the rendering that Mike does. If we get this done for the 4th of July, because it is a huge day, their biggest day at WCP, that'll start the generating of people saying what's going to be here, what it's potentially going to look like. They can go on, see what a donation might be, where they could help, where they could volunteer for help. That's where it's starting. So we actually have something moving forward. So that's where that's at.
Yeah.
This is
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
so if we can get some momentum, which we're really hoping, and we think especially the 4th of July, our community does our community thing, right? If we can show that, it'd be really sweet to be in that space. And when we do 4th of July at WCP, that'll be another feature. And there's going to be, we came to the decision without talking too long, that the whole backside of that bowl, instead of it being open with the benches around it, it'll kind of be cut out with concrete moving forward, more like a plaza. So you could actually kind of have some staged events if someone wants to do speaking or a book reading or something like that.
So cool.
Music. And then because of the ADA accessibility, we were thinking about doing, potential plaques next to the cannon moving. Let me go this way, moving north and south, kind of around the bowl. If it's all concrete up to there and then potentially turf or native grass all the way up to the sidewalk, then there's no ADA accessibility on pouring pads and having a little bit of grass here and there. Like, it's just a place where people can mingle. And the benches are there to be able to look both on the plaques and on the flag poles, excuse me.
Yeah.
More of a gathering space.
It is a gathering
That is
space.
lovely. Yeah. that is lovely.
I think that's a key term, right?
Gathering
A
space.
gathering space.
I don't know.
So,
That's very.
yeah,
exciting.
we're excited
Very good
to
work.
be able to go have something to move forward. So that's my update. Anything else to add to that?
No, just we feel like with having the 3D rendering, it'll help people visualize, right, better about what they're donating to.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
having some choices for, or having the idea of the benches and the visuals, you know, and hopefully we can get the community.
That's very exciting. That's neat.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Really cool.
We're excited.
Hopefully, you know, we're still, what will be built next spring,
Probably, but generating
if we can get.
some movement.
So funding and everything like that, yeah.
Yep. I just wanted to touch base. I wasn't here last meeting, but I did listen to everything and obviously the notes and meeting minutes. Is this something, a subcommittee for fundraising, since we do have these projects going on? Is that something we want to develop within the PROST board? Sounds like it'd be something beneficial to do if someone wanted to head that. I'm not asking for like, yes, I'll chair that right now. I just wanted to put the idea out there, like to make it official, because hopefully this year with our 4 projects, that's just the first step, like we all said, right? 4 or 5 projects this year and then more projects next year. So if we had someone in place to kind of hold on to those funding partnerships and make sure that we're using the right people and not overusing some people, because we are a small town and we don't have a ton of businesses, just making sure that we're doing things the right way and getting to the people we need to, was my thought.
Doing the communication part, right, like,
Yeah, and that's not, you know, one person knocking on the doors. It's saying, hey, you know, it'd be my recommendation or what I think to go to this business, and then asking people to help them out on the board, obviously, not just solely on one person, but one person kind of heading that piece of what we're trying to accomplish. Because there are so many different dynamics with what we do, as far as especially like the memorial, like there's just so many pieces. If someone could head the funding on all these projects, it'd be fantastic.
okay.
Fundraising. You guys have great ideas with like the bingo nights and the, you know, everything that was on the meeting. You guys talked for a while about it. I would love someone to head that.
Yeah, and that kind of organizing, it doesn't happen meeting once a month, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's more hands-on kind of item. So if there was a formal committee or a model in which to do these kind of things, you know, you have a lot more freedom to work kind of independently, you know, not independently completely, but you know, do that hard work outside of these meetings where there's a lot of input, but not everybody's accountable for the things. So I think it would be helpful.
So maybe just think about it for next meeting if anyone's interested, or a couple people would be great, you know?
Yeah, we should form an email and just make sure we pull in everybody.
Yep.
And- Okay,
The nice thing about committees too is they don't have to be board members. Committee members can be volunteers outside of our board. So if there's anybody who's interested specifically in helping with fundraising for PROST, they can be part of that committee, but not necessarily be a board member. So that opens up your volunteers a lot more and makes way more engaged volunteers.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get an email and we'll chat about that and make sure
Okay.
the others who aren't here understand, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So onto the skate park, since Robert is not here, I can give the update on that. To get out of,
We're doing all that stuff in the rain.
yes.
I drive by and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're
I
out
know.
there.
Wet inside.
Quick side story. HR manager called in and said, do we need to make a claim on the fence over there? It looked like someone ran into it. And I freaked out. I turned the corner. I was like, I'm going over there now. And I was like, oh no, that's just the skate park. I told them they could take the mesh down so they could get the pour the concrete. Everything's fine, everybody. I just like, I did one of those, like, no. All good. It's all approved work. And it looks really cool. Why don't I have, oh, because he sent that, did he send that to both of us? I had it pulled up. Just me? I apologize. Well, they did a bunch of work in the rain and it looked like they got both of the pours done that they did. One on the south fence, and then the little bump, they took it from. Had the original idea of the bowl with the top on it that we didn't want to do for safety concerns, and then he talked about a thin rail, but I think they just ended up kind of making like. A real quick little skate over, I don't know, it looks like a dimple, but a little bit larger so that they can kind of go up and down and into the other. Structure, so it looks really good. I believe they're gonna try to finish the work this week from what I said, or by next weekend, excuse me. So they'll be working on it over the next 2 weeks. I'm sure they want it done for the 4th of July, obviously, and I asked for it to be done well before then, so that'll give them a couple weeks. It should be all cleaned up, and they're doing great work. It looks really good. So, and then anything anybody wants to add to the future calendar? Want me to bring that up, Brooke? Our future
Yeah.
calendar.
We had it pretty well laid out, I thought.
Yep. Oh, that's the wrong one. Got 2 future calendars on there. So we're here.
I love this, by the way. This is wonderful.
This is helpful.
Yeah.
To be able to see this.
It's a copied idea, but it works, so we'll keep going with it.
Yeah.
So this will come off here. Obviously, unless we want to, well, we can just discuss it. Do we want to discuss it further or push that off till 2 meetings, and then we'll kind of make an agenda for what we want to talk about for the Board of Trustees?
Oh, to discuss
You know, put it
at the
one more
next meeting?
time, right? Yeah. Or do you want to do it, I'd say next meeting or the,
I put it on both.
okay. Okay. So we will further on the bike fix station, keep that on there. Go ahead and just give me an update on what you get. Maybe we can have a phone call
Okay.
real quick and see kind of lay of the land.
Okay.
And then I'll make kind of a plan on my end, and we'll hopefully come to a decision on where we want to put them and if we can get them in.
Okay.
I still would love to do this, but I think we should push this off until someone heads that, the fundraising
Okay.
portion of it. So that won't just be partnerships for fundraising, I think, but it does tie into all of our partnerships, you know. Anything anybody sees that needs to come off, it's always good to discuss this stuff as we move forward, because that's the big one, I think the big ticket item. Oh, it kind of was on here, present to trustees. I'll just remove that. And then there's this one here. I've been trying to get a hold of companies to come and just at least give an estimate so I can give an update of what we could look for as far as monetary necessities for fundraising and ask, you know, maybe put it in next year's budget or at least get that. I haven't got a darn company to call me back. There's 3 of them, and one of them says leave a text, and I've left a text, and I said multiple times, are you going to get back to me? And nothing. So I've reached out to my old coworkers at the city of Fort Collins, and same thing, the same company they gave me. I don't know if they're overworked or what, but I will try before the next meeting at least to get an assessment of what it will cost to get Viewpoint relined with basketball on the 2 courts and then pickleball on the 1.
Yeah, that's right.
So cool.
Very cool.
Cool. Right.
You're not talking about resurfacing, you're just talking about lines, right?
Yeah, just painting.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. Resurfacing that,
It's a
the
lot.
concrete would be a lot. The only thing really we could do is just like a tennis court top, like a sport court top
Right.
painted on, and we could look into that if we're interested, just a little bit more.
Okay.
Not necessarily, I mean, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would it be that much more usable for pickleball than just a concrete surface? Because the tennis court does have that slight tack to it if there is some moisture. I understand that, but
I don't know that it would make a huge difference, so I think I would go probably with the lesser expensive option and not worry too much about it. 'Cause,
Great.
I mean, yeah, I think it would be fine.
Just providing the amenity would be a
Mhm.
bonus. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That would be great, yeah, it would.
Okay, I guess I'll go into. We're doing parks. I think we're just mowing is the biggest thing that we're doing right now, to be honest, like with how quickly it's growing. I know this is getting into the weeds just a little bit, but we're mowing shorter than we ever have in the past, just because it's a practice that I believe in, and it's the quality of grass that we would rather have than a little bit longer. My golly, we cannot. He just got me bad. We cannot keep up. We just can't, and it's nuts. So hopefully an ask next year is a larger mower. That's what I really want, is a gang mower, so that we can be more efficient in our practicing. And it's
Are you guys, or you have people?
we have
hired?
our technicians and
Oh,
our
okay.
seasonal
Okay.
help do a lot of the mowing, but unfortunately,
We
that's
have
pretty
been
much all we're
before.
doing. Yeah.
Aren't this year.
Knock on wood, you don't have
Or-
to do that, but yeah.
Oh, so all
Cross-trained.
the irrigation is on, but we're not really using it much right now.
It's kind of a good thing.
It is a really good thing. It is a really good thing. We've got, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm working on for parks is some of the stuff that we're talking about here. Did go a drive through with Jim to look at all of the locations for the Adirondack chairs right out front here, which Kelly got grant funding for. That'll come underneath here. Jim's gonna pour. He's gonna do all of our signs as well as all the ADA pads. We went through all of that stuff today. In fact, and he's all on board. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go basically park by park, so he can do a station and have his guys just be ready to do a park at a time. So when the signs become available, that'll be the next park. We are gonna do this park first here because it's got a sign and 88, 2 ADA pours. There's one there and one over there, and the Adirondack chairs, and that needs to be in because that was grant funding, and they extended it for us because of the time of year for pouring concrete, but we're getting in there. So that will be probably the first park that we do is
Back
here.
there.
Yep. Oh, bike rack here. Yeah, you want to give an update on the bike rack price?
Oh, yeah. So I got a quote back for the bike rack. It included that. That's the same company that had that bike fix it station. So Billy will take that over this week and make that order. He just needs to remove the quote for that or remove the item for the fix it station. I just added it on there just because the freight didn't change when adding a product. So, and that's just the hard part about it is freight is so expensive for such an awkward object.
Sure.
So ideally we'd be able to order something else, but the company that we use only does bike stuff. And so the only other option would be to maybe order some extras if we needed them somewhere or something happened. But
Oh, for the bike, order more bike racks.
Right, the freight is what's cost the
the freight is
most.
just like it's almost as expensive as the bike rack itself. So, because I mean, the thing was, 6 feet wide, long by 3 feet tall, so it's just awkward. It has to come on a truck.
Thanks.
So I did have an interesting thought because the idea of putting it up by the building and drilling into this old concrete scares me where it is now, and that one's freestanding. It does need to be in place because how it is, just the design of it needs to be put in. You're a mechanical and also concrete and also a very spatial guy. Do you think it would be smart if we got a concrete parking block and got that put onto there? Because then this time of year when it's being used, we could put it out closer to where we need it in the parking lot where there's all the yellow lines. And then when it's snow removal season and nobody's really riding their bikes, we could slide it up closer to the building. Do you think that would potentially work? Just your thoughts on that, or anybody's thoughts on that? I guess I'm not just keying in on you, John. It kind of popped in my mind that you might.
Yeah, the good thing about most of those stops is you can use a forklift to move them because they are pretty darn heavy. And if you don't rebar them into the ground, they're gonna be real easy to pick up and go. As long as nobody comes by and hits it when it's in place, you should be all right. But I guess rewriting it would only take 2 people and you could do it by hand. It's just lifting, it's a pain. So, but it would work. I don't know how big the mount is on the bottom of those racks, if it's
If it's too wide.
too wide for your. Cause I'm assuming it's probably gonna be at least a 6x6.
Right.
And I think the top of those blocks might be 3 inches.
So what about forms? Like if we just did a couple heavy forms, I'm just thinking we can't, there's just not a great space around here to put it unless you put it up next to the building. And then when you do that, you lose half of the bike rack. So you can only pull in and 6 over the sidewalk. Probably mixing up or messing up ADA accessibility. So it's like, that's one thing that I've been really trying to conceive a plan for where it goes when it gets shipped, which should be soon. So maybe thoughts on that, just shoot me a text and we can just go look at the space, but
Yeah.
you know, in a very valid point from Ross is that it can't be anywhere really where the people who use the library are going to hit it, because if it is black, it's not seen a lot. And there are people that come and use this facility that maybe not able to see as well as they're coming in here when it's full. So my best thought was being movable, but hard to move. So.
Yeah.
Oh, one more cool update. We did get a new piece of machinery in the Parks Department. It's called the Power Turf Renovator, and it goes on the back of basically on the back of a tractor. And what it does is it aerates, dethatches, and verticuts at the same time. And we don't have anything like that. Our aerator now, is like that big. And we did I think they said it took like 3 or 4 days to aerate WCP the last time it was aerated the ball fields. And
Yeah,
Eric
it took 2 weeks to do the entire park system.
Eric-
Almost 3.
Eric did one baseball field in, what was it like?
Testing it and trying to figure it out.
Doing it
took
the
me
first time.
Probably 3 hours, maybe.
And this is something we can take everywhere, and it can
But
be
it's
used.
also something that hasn't it's better than what we were doing.
Yeah,
To those ballparks. So it will save a ton of time, but also that when you walked out there, I don't know if you all have been out, but it was literally a sponge. Like you walked and it sank underneath you and that's gone after one time. And we'll do it a couple more times this year.
and it can be used year round because it doesn't go too deep and doesn't need to close up. So if it's August and you really need to, like after an event, you can go over the top of it and then seed real quick and seed bank for the spring. It's really cool. It's a proprietary piece of equipment that is only sold by one company in the US, and comes highly recommended by Sports Surf Managers Association, and it's quality. So that's gonna be fun.
Stepping up.
Stepping up, stepping up the game.
Yeah.
Without going too far, anything else you want to know about parks or anything specific? That's pretty much a lot of the updates on
Well, all the
parks.
repairs were completed, right? The stuff for WCP, right? That was completed.
On
the
the
repair.
the infields?
No,
Or-
on the playground.
No,
Still trouble with that.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that rock piece that's an expensive, it's a $10,000 piece of playground, the rock that's missing. Like plastic rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just a bolt.
And that other, the whole mount that goes into the ground is broken.
it's put
So
into the concrete.
The whole mount broke off. And then another piece that we got fixed last year broke in the exact same spot in the exact same way. So we're gonna contact them and see why,
Could be warranty.
because that shouldn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
to have it remounted, I started the work and then we had a tech come out and finish it because I couldn't get it to line up properly. And then it broke
Okay.
less than 6 months later. So that's another one that will just be like, why?
Darn it. Okay.
You know,
Yep.
so
Good to know.
Yeah.
And the splash pad has been up and running since day one. We've only shut it down for 4 days with rain, give or take.
mhm.
It's exciting.
It hasn't been in the news, so that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
just curse us?
Yeah.
A lot of people
Oh.
over there.
Now that I'm leaving.
No, we're good. So
Yeah. Keep their dogs out of it.
yep, it's on the sign.
Okay.
And keep the dogs. Do we have signs or anything like people bringing their dogs in the ballpark?
Mhm.
to tell them not to do that?
So
or
a lot of
what?
them have been knocked down, like either by wind and or vandalism
Oh, okay.
and then
Because
stolen. We
you
need
have
to
the
get
dog
some
park
update,
right
yeah.
there, and you've got people bringing their dogs in and running all over the ballpark. It's like, guys, because they, well.
It's all the park amenity signs.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We do need more. That's a good reminder, but yes, we do have some up.
Cool. The bathrooms are open at the park,
Yep.
right? Yay.
Oh, yeah, we got new mag locks on those, so they're secured and safe. I should have said that. We had an electrician come in. Neither one of the bathrooms had, well, the south one by the ball field didn't have mag locks.
Mm.
And the north ones were not working. And
Okay,
are you familiar with mag locks, everybody?
I think so.
Yeah, they shut down on a timer and close after park hours, but then there's a button inside just in case you get trapped in accidentally. And it's a light up button and you push it and it opens the magnetic lock for about 20 seconds and you can get out.
Okay. That's a great idea.
So without that, either you keep them open 24 hours or someone has to lock them after baseball or whatever, but yep, we had an electrician come in and reset those and then put them in the one that they weren't in.
That's great. Cool.
Yep, safety.
You guys, just real quick,
Yep.
Billy, you guys haven't had anybody come to the city looking for any tennis equipment, have you?
No, yeah, and you had mentioned that to Kim yesterday, and we haven't
Okay.
heard anybody yet.
Okay, we did
That
put
I
a
know
little
of.
sign up there, but I haven't heard. I just feel bad because we have it. It's like a tennis cage with tennis balls in it.
Hmm.
So I don't know. All right, we'll just wait then.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
All new tennis nets too. For the
All the
park up
tennis
there.
nets,
Yep,
yeah, that's
brand new
awesome.
tennis nets, center
Is
straps.
the other one tightened now?
Not yet.
Okay,
It will be tomorrow for Kim's.
cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, look, Ken, I've been many a lesson with him. Not that you could tell from the tennis game. He's great.
We missed you out on the pickleball. Yeah, okay.
Rebecca.
Recreation.
Yeah, we started the season for summer, so baseball is up. Well, we tried mostly to start. Fun fact also, if we want to toss out kudos, we had the only 2 baseball fields open in the entire northern part of Colorado yesterday.
Wow.
So just if anybody wants to make credit, kudos the parks team and the rec seasonals for helping keep that. But that was I got like 6 calls from our umpire schedulers, just being like, are you sure that you guys are going to keep the park? Yes, it's dry, it's sunny, like we're good.
Only ones.
So yeah, only ones who got to do anything yesterday, which was super cool. So we were able to start the season. Obviously Monday was washed out. But it's great. The new software Team Snap is a hit. Everyone likes it. We like it. It makes communicating super easy. We can send like very specific detailed messages to teams. I can put like a little push notification on their phone. So it says like games canceled, and then they can click in it and like get more details. So yeah, that's super helpful. And been great. And then yeah, our team's just crushing it, honestly. If you see them around or working around or running around like crazy, just stop and thank them because they're doing a lot and keeping us rolling. So yeah.
Saddles to paddles.
Saddles to paddles. Oh yeah, we have registrations for saddles to paddles, which is great.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, super exciting with that. She did, the person who owns the like ranch and is doing it, did like a ribbon cutting. So there's a post on Facebook if you want to go see that we reshared from the chamber. But yeah, super excited. Reserve your spot today. She only has a couple sups. You can bring your own, but she only has a couple sups. So if you
Another
wanna
new
go,
program.
yeah, do that.
That's cool.
It's been very like it's a good thing to set up and we're excited to have it. So she's been awesome to work with.
That's cool.
Add one thing to the list.
Yeah.
Not a ton with open spaces and trails. I will say, as far as the land all around Harvest Park, we are hopefully 100% going to be able to have what will be towns and what will be the HOAs after a meeting next week. So everything that we get should be fully dedicated, and everything that is going to be HOA maintained will then be finalized. it might not, we're having a meeting next week, then I might have a couple action items, like irrigation stuff that I have to walk through before we get it dedicated. But it's been going on for far too long, and I just want this to be a black and white line of what's ours and what's theirs. So hopefully that will be done, and that's another thing for both trails, open spaces, and parks that has been a lot of time in the making, so.
Did you guys have time to go into the old house and look for the trail signs, the trail?
The greenhouse,
Yeah,
we are doing, in 2 weeks, we are doing a thorough clean out of that thing.
okay. There's missing trail signs that are very in depth. I'm expecting
The maps, you mean?
Their maps,
Okay,
and they show
okay.
the different routes that we discussed.
the like proposed ones that you all.
There should be proposed. I mean,
Okay.
there should be at least 3 over there, and they're nice. They have the core back, and
Okay,
they were a big part of our presentation. These are big signs.
okay. Oh, yeah, we're potentially thinking they're maybe in there or somewhere else. But we do have with our town administrator and like all the record keeping, we have a schedule of our facilities maintenance team to go in there and start getting things out. So if it's in there, we will find it in 2 weeks from Friday.
Okay, I just don't want to make through.
We will not throw those away.
Don't let anybody throw away the old magazines. You dedicate them to the,
Yeah.
or there's a huge thing of magazines in there, like old, like 80s, 70s magazines. that
Nice.
Have flow and stuff in them.
Yeah.
Sweet.
If we're going to, I'll just keep them, just give them. And I'll take them over to the archive place.
Sweet. Okay, I will keep that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot more things I could talk about, but those are some big things.
No, as we're getting late, I think we've covered a nice
Yep.
amount.
Trustee Daly?
The development plans that are upcoming and the one that we talked about today, there's a lot of great things associated with parks and trails coming up. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. And then I did get some feedback from community regarding fundraising. Actually, there's some residents in the condos over there who say, I'm pretty sure we could fund a dog park if we could allow it, just from our residents alone, because nobody has anywhere to take their dogs. So if there was a fundraising committee, I'd probably encourage them to participate in that. If it was possible somehow to make with the retaining pond into a dog park, part-time, whatever.
Where at?
Belleville, east side. So they're like, this would be a great place for a dog park. So I was like, I'll let them know. And they're like, we want to pay for it. And I was like, I'll let them know that too. So
In the practice field?
yeah, part like splitting that field.
By the culvert or by the ditch there?
Yeah.
I will say one thing, and I don't know where it stands, but the first thing that comes to mind is just the fact of disturbing potential floodplain and putting a fence in a potential floodplain. I don't know where that would go, because if it got washed away and blocked the culvert, then that
That would be,
takes away the idea of the engineering.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's, I might be stepping out, but that would be my first concern about doing that. Would love it because it would appease one of the amenities we need. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I didn't make any promises. I was like, I don't know if that's possible, but if you're bringing money with it, I was like, I'll definitely let them know. So, that was one of the things I received for feedback. The other feedback I received is that people were really concerned about pickleball fees, court fees, other fees associated. I guess it's significantly higher than other communities, like Windsor in particular. So, they wanted to talk about that. So I recommended they reach out to you. I don't know.
I'm
kind of
wondering what fees
reservation
they're
fees or what.
I
talking
think
about.
they may be talking about court fees.
Okay.
And then the other thing, like with insurance and stuff, Billy, I think this is what I've heard. Just people talking, like Windsor, for instance, you can rent, I guess you can rent a court for like $6 or something like that. And here it's, I mean, it's $15 per court or whatever. So I think they're comparing that. The other thing, was the
Equipment. maybe.
well, the equipment, but actually, I don't know that there's too many other places that actually rent pickleball nets, because most of them, if they have the pickleball courts, they already have the permanent nets.
Right.
So, it's just, the feedback that I'm getting is if we're gonna pay that kind of money for the net, it's easier for us to just, I mean, other people could go out and buy one, you can buy one for 50, 60 bucks or whatever, and then not have to rent them at all. So anyway, that's some of the feedback
Yeah.
that I had gotten.
Okay.
Did you hear anything?
No, I think that's more.
Did
I
you
didn't
know if that's
the-
specific to like the outdoor pickleball only? Because we did have the indoor at the Boys and Girls Club, but that's kind of a different situation.
Yeah, I think it was
Oh.
outdoor. I think they were
Okay.
talking about court reservations.
My
or-
assumption would be outdoors
Yeah.
too. Yeah, because
Okay.
we don't really have any indoor, well, with the exception of boys.
Right, and that's what I thought. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
kind of a little bit out of.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've been pushing people to come to meetings. I did a shout out for the skatewell event last night. To make people know that was going on. We approved the event, special event permit for liquor license for American Legion to do the Brew Fest, which is, right next to skatewell's going on, so. It was a good opportunity to tell people about that. There was a presentation done by a high school group. You guys seen that? It was an end of year presentation project that they did, and they put together a presentation as to why Wellington needs a rec center. And then the school year ended, otherwise they had high hopes of presenting to the board and doing all kinds of things, but I have a copy of the presentation, I'll send it over to
Please do.
Bailey. And then we can distribute it, it's, all the facts that we all know, but it was acknowledged and cited from sources by kids in our community who want a rec center. So
That's
and
awesome.
it's special,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and they chose their own projects too, so this group specifically chose that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're freshmen. Ninth graders.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah,
Because
that was
means
really
there's-
cool.
That desire is out there, which is.
Yeah, and they know it, right? I think that's great. And, they've researched it. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't think I have anything else though. Are there any questions for me?
No.
Oh, um. There is a potential for the designation of the extra sales tax for marijuana to be, we don't have a rec center, within the ordinance. It really indicated that the additional sales tax, 3.5% on top of the regular sales tax, that extra that we would be getting in the voters approved for marijuana sales would go towards the rec center, which we don't have, right? But which is
That'd be
fantastic.
sick.
Absolutely.
Right, after the board now has the power to determine where that goes. So, given that we don't have a rec center, what does it go into a fund that we save for a future rec center? Does it go towards the recreation in general to promote recreation? Does it go towards steps towards a rec center? These are all the questions and we haven't defined it as of yet. So, if you guys have strong opinions on that or anything like that, or just to be aware of that, my biggest fear is that since we don't have a rec center, they'll say, well, let's use this for something else until we do. And I, personally, that would make me sad, but it is a board decision. So it's a group decision as to where those funds would go. Right now we have none because we haven't sold any marijuana. So it's kind of mute. So it doesn't matter. But when we do, and we have that money coming in, what will it be used for? What will it be designated for? Will it be acquiring land for a rec center? Will it be funding a campaign for a ballot item for a rec center? There's so many things coming up to a rec center, but of course we don't really know what we need yet either. So there's just a lot of questions out there. I would imagine that this group feels pretty strongly about rec centers. So just making sure that money and where it's going, you should be aware of that decision that's upcoming.
If there was any pushback of not putting it towards a rec center until we have a plan for a rec center, it would be nice to see some of that money used for the trail system. The community has long also spoken out on completing the trail system.
Yeah.
And money is an issue for that.
Yeah.
So I hear you about the rec center. However, if that can't go that direction, I
Right.
would love to see it go towards finishing our trail system.
Yeah, and that's always my question is, we don't have rec center, but how else could it go towards recreation or towards, promoting that essence that likely the voters had in mind when they were wanting the rec center, not really knowing that that multi-million-dollar project would be funded by 3.5% of marijuana sales, you know what I mean? So the scope it's not really hard to understand. And this will be for our budget for next year, where we'll be determining these taxes, where these taxes go. So, and it is completely at the discretion of the board. It's also at the discretion of the board whether it changes from 3.5 to 5%. There's a range in which it can be.
Oh, boy.
So those are all the questions on the table. So
Okay.
that you know what's going on.
I just wanted to throw that out in
Yeah.
case,
No,
'cause
I-
in 2015, when we did a community outreach, this board, we met in here with the community. We asked them, what is the most important things to you?
Mhm.
And of course, community, a rec center is always there, but as being some more of the attainable items that we had on there, the trail was that was the number one thing that people wanted to see.
And it's like how are kids gonna get to a rec center? It's gonna have to rely on a very strong trail system.
Yes, ma'am.
So I
Yeah.
think all these things obviously work with each other, so. But like I said, if you guys have strong opinions on this as an individual or as an advisory group, these items will be coming up with the discussions for the budget. So be aware. If you hear it, see it, wanna speak on it, do it. Love to hear you. And I just heard you, so thank you. I heard what you just said.
Thank you.
So when that 3.5 or up to 5, or whatever it is proposed, is that a direct line item when you figure out what it is, or can that be split in multiple directions? And
That's all that is a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that will likely be a question too. I don't think this, well, I'm not gonna say, but, yeah. Does part of it go here? Does part of it go there? That's kind of similar to, our current taxes that are split or not between parks and roads, right? So last year it was designated for parks, but we have the authority to put that where we need to based on a different ballot item that occurred, and that same ballot where they extended the ability for us to do that, be able to put it towards roads or parks. So that's gonna be all the fun things of budget. So many things.
Yay.
Yeah. But the master or the strategic plan for Parks Rec for all PROST kind of items is still in the strategic plan, and obviously the budget hasn't been approved, but there is a commitment to make sure we uphold that and include that within the 2-year plan. So being the current year and next year. So I'm still really pushing for making sure that that plan occurs, even if we don't get grant funding. So it's on the strategic plan. So we've all committed to that. So I think that's good news.
Okay.
excellent news.
Yeah.
Board members,
I don't have
updates,
anything.
anything?
You guys have anything? Natalie? Do you have anything to finish? Or we head
No,
out?
but it sounds like we need to set up so that we can start working on the budget presentation for the end of August. So you guys have to think about when you want to start putting that together for that date.
Yep. We've got on the schedule the next 2 meetings. It will be on the agenda to come up with items we're going to talk about like we did last time. We'll put something together and then I'll start a PowerPoint, and then we'll probably do in between the August meeting and then our presentation. We'll do a work session for the group just to make sure that we're all on the same page before we go present.
And putting the cost together for the Veterans Memorial would be great. I'd say do that first and then have people volunteer for the subcommittee for that, for funding, so that it's all set and ready to go.
Excellent.
Perfect.
All right.
We're in agreement to adjourn.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
7:45.
7:45.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
See you guys.
See you guys.
On this meeting.